This episode is shorter, but there's only one thing to talk about. Battlefield 5. Well, V. In this case, it's V for vagina, according to all the people that are upset that there's a female soldier front and center on all the promo stuff. There's a lot of misinformation circulating around as a result of people being upset over or defending that trailer, but I did some research of my own and I believe I can give an objective stance on the issue. Factually, there were over 150,000 American women serving in the Women's Army Corps during World War II that were deployed overseas to all sorts of locations. That's the defense many people are throwing out in regard to the controversy. The only problem with that is that the woman in question plastered all over Battlefield V with the giant whisk for an arm isn't American. She's British. Or maybe Australian. It's hard to tell with the one line she says. If she's Australian, the American point stands, because there were over 50,000 Australian women in direct combat roles. But if she's British, British women never participated in frontline combat. They were searchlight operators and anti-aircraft gunners, but they received minimal rifle training and were told they'd be evacuated if boots on the ground ever reached them. Most women contributing to the war effort did so by working in factories and providing domestic economic sustainability. So if your grievance is so-called SJW propaganda from a series that is typically heralded for its realism and historical accuracy, you're technically right. The question then becomes, did DICE just get it wrong innocently, or did they push for a female protagonist so they could score brownie points with progressive gamers? Now don't get me wrong, I personally don't give a shit. I'm not mad at girly girls infiltrating our manly man video games. As I've said before, when there's a choice, I opt to pick the female protagonist in any given game anyway because I like to. But this does pose the question of if realism/historical accuracy is even part of DICE's thought process anymore. Which are the main trademarks Battlefield fans lord over Call of Duty fans whenever they can't shut up about Battlefield being way better? Those people can find legitimate grievances, with DICE seemingly choosing to turn Battlefield into some wacky hero shooter like Overwatch, with several distinct characters flipping perspectives and engaging in over-the-top set-piece moments with unlikely scenarios that favor questionable displays of violence. Honestly, that Battlefield trailer looks like a Call of Duty trailer. It makes sense for Battlefield fans not to like it, and it currently has more dislikes than likes on YouTube, taking the same path Infinite Warfare took 2 years ago, even though I liked that game fine. Infinite Warfare was better than World War II at least, but I'm also very excited about Black Ops 4 for all the reasons other people aren't. Which makes it a pointless thing to argue about, by the way, because it's a perfect overlap on the opposite side. Everything one side doesn't like about Black Ops 4, the other side does. The conversation can't go much deeper than, I don't like what they're doing. Well, I do. End of discussion. But back to the Battlefield woman thing, regardless of whether or not it's SJW diarrhea, if you're screaming about it online till you're red in the face, you're definitely an involuntarily celibate misogynist, and if you need to take your existence out on a woman, find a female ancestor's grave and spit on it. She's at least partly responsible for your garbage genetics. And look, it probably is. It probably is an agenda, just like everything else that stars non-male or non-white people is. But we're just in a time period where that's going to be happening, because in order to balance the scales of representation, you have to tip them heavily in the direction of the historically disenfranchised for a while. When a seesaw is tilted, adding the same amount of weight to both sides doesn't do anything. If you want it even, you have to pile onto the upper side. If your next question is why does it have to be even, then you don't understand the cause to begin with, and this conversation isn't for you. Which, by the way, no amount of agenda will ever get it close to even. Ever. There will always be so much more straight white dude shit than anything else. So if you're a professional whiner in that regard, just be content with your representative win while other groups vie for a spot somewhere on the board. Entertainment is 90% straight white dudes and will always be. Celebrate quietly. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe and whatnot, and I'll see you guys next time.